Welcome to the exciting and new mini podcast. This is a Halloween one. I'm Jason.
I'm Andy.
And I'm Brian.
And I'm Mac.
Mac's back.
Mac's back. Guest Mac. I'm looking at the earplugs that I wore at the concert yesterday, and they look like tiny little penises. I guess
they're
I
real
had
skinny.
them on my ear yesterday.
You're used to having penises in your ears anyway. So.
It's nothing new. This is a little smaller.
Just another hole.
This is smaller than I'm used to. So what are we doing? Halloween edition.
Well, I thought we're about to start our Halloween extravaganza on our main podcast.
Yep.
The major, since mini maximum.
The regular
whatever you
one.
wanna call
The
it.
regular one?
Our regular podcast, yeah. I thought we would turn this one into maybe just recommending some of our all-time favorite horror movies or just some random horror movies you want to say not to watch or even, things like, I can't watch that now because it's too gory now. I used to be able to watch it because I know some people get squeamish.
I'm
Not worth it.
I'm not squeamish about gore anymore. It's just like I don't
gotta
watch
have
horror.
gore.
Like I'm like kind of like I don't know. Gore doesn't do it for me anymore. I don't know.
I don't mind it. It doesn't bother me.
I don't like.
love it.
I don't seek out those kinds of movies anymore. But
It's a major
anyway.
component of a horror film.
I know. I like the psychological ones better, I guess. Like what was that? Hereditary a couple of years
Hereditary was
ago.
really
Oh,
good.
that
Like
was
there was.
terrific.
I don't remember.
I don't know. Her head got lopped
You're
off.
right. You're right. a child got decapitated. That was
Yeah,
kind
and
of
then
gory.
the
but,
mom sawed her head off.
Yeah.
But no, it's
They're-
not good.
yeah, I guess. I guess it's the
It
definition of
definitely
gory.
had its moments.
Yeah. I one of the first horror movies that I ever saw was Burnt Offerings.
That's my.
Get
I
the hell
was
out
gonna
of here!
say,
Really?
dude.
Burnt Offerings. Man. I saw that not in the theater because
Unbelievable.
I
On
don't-
TV, on network TV? Me
network
too.
television, and my
That
dad
was like the reason why I wanted to do the Halloween
Oh,
extravaganza. That was my,
sorry.
that was my
Oh,
whole one.
sorry.
Now I
He
had
just
all right.
nothing
stole
to
All
say
right,
again.
I can pick another one.
It's okay. Go ahead. Do it. No, do it. Tell your story.
So anyway, my dad was watching on like ABC or something. I mean, back in the old days, we had 4 channels, so that was one of
Yeah.
them. And
Was Karen Black in that one?
Karen Black and Burgess Meredith and
Oliver Reed.
Is Oliver
Yeah,
Reed the main guy?
yeah.
Okay, okay. And
Betty Davis.
is Betty Davis
Really?
Burgess Meredith's wife in that? Or
old
she's the
lady.
grandma. She's
Yep.
the grandma, right, in the attic. And I remember like watching that with my dad, and I couldn't sleep for like a week after that. That haunted me much longer than most horror movies haunt me.
There's a reason for it, why it haunted me so much. It was the limousine driver.
Yeah, sure, with the smile.
He has his dark glasses on and a hat, and he's sitting in the limousine, and they just pan over to him, and he just looks at the camera and smiles. It's one of the most.
And you know what's really funny?
Ever.
My dad would like after we saw. I mean, what year's Burnt Offerings? It's like
74.
74. So I probably saw it in like late 70s, early 80s. So I was like impressionable, like 10 or under. And my dad, knowing that I'd seen this now and was like banged up because of it, he'd be like reading the paper in the morning, just like pull the paper down and just be like, like smiling at me. And I'm like, oh. No, please don't do that. I'm serious. And I just saw yesterday.
You had PTSD
Yeah,
from
I
it.
did. Well, I just saw yesterday. There's a horror movie coming out now that's called Smile. And that's like the premise of it. Like you just see these people with like these creepy smile. I'm like,
I did not see the preview for
I
that.
am not
Yeah.
watching that movie. That'll horrify me.
Burnt Offerings. It was for me. I grew up in North Jersey, so I had all the New York TV there. So
Okay.
Channel 11 was
Chiller.
Theater.
I had Channel 11 too, yeah.
Chiller Theater made me shit my pants. Just the 6-fingered hand coming up out of the
Zachary.
yeah, that just, but that alone, I ran out of the room. And then Burnt Offerings is on top of that, so I'm still traumatized from the whole experience.
Yeah, Burnt Offerings.
That was
great.
one of the first horror movies I ever watched, and I was really, really young. It's rated PG.
Well, it's so
the
funny.
scariest movie. It's
so
rated
funny how things
PG,
were rated
yeah.
PG. Nowadays, it seems like horror movies want
Just-
to get that PG-13 rating.
If you want something just good, just go watch the 2-minute trailer.
Yeah.
Type in Burnt Offerings trailer on YouTube and watch it. The guy, the voiceover that does it's that scary voice.
Is it that what kind of voice?
Exactly. It's super scary. It's just, and it gets you so excited for the movie. That's horror.
Well,
to
I'm
me.
sorry I stepped all over your
No,
horror
it's
movie,
good
man.
that you did. You had a little bit of a story. That was my story, though. That was like my first real horror flick. But that and Suspiria.
Suspiria.
I love that
that's
movie.
Italian horror.
Is that-
Dario Argento.
Is that Donald Sutherland? Is that him in that one? No.
It's all Italian.
Yeah, it's
acting.
Italian.
Oh,
yeah.
I probably don't
That's
know
a
that one.
terrific movie. You never saw it?
I don't think not that I don't know that I
Check
saw
that out
no.
if you get a
Yeah.
chance. Suspiria.
Yeah, it's about a coven of witches.
Brian, have you seen that?
I have not seen
Did
that.
you see Burnt Offerings?
I have not seen Burnt Offerings.
And you never saw the movie we're going to review tonight either until tonight.
No,
Okay,
yeah,
we'll
we
get to that.
That's different.
There's also a
podcasting.
remake of Suspiria. Which
I did not see the remake. Did you?
Yeah, it's terrific.
Okay, yeah.
It's probably better than the original. I know it's
You can't say
sacrilegious
that.
to say
And is that-
I know, but
is
it's
it
really
in
good.
it- is it
and
in
it stars,
Italian?
or it doesn't star her, but the woman is in the new one.
Oh, is she?
Yeah, it's really good.
Is it in Italian? Like, is it subtitled?
I don't
or-
remember.
It's dubbed.
Oh, is it okay.
probably.
Yeah.
What year did it come out?
Oh, in the 70s.
Yeah, it's another 70s. Yeah,
Those
mid
70
to late
horror movies,
70s,
man. I mean,
yeah.
like Omen, Exorcist, like they made really good horror movies in the 70s. And then in Halloween was the 70s also.
Yeah.
Then they became more like, Freddy and Jason and
1980s.
Yeah,
is when
retread,
that-
retread
Yeah,
after
yeah.
retread.
That's what horror
Yep.
movies in the 80s were.
Fun though.
My Bloody Valentine. Just needed an honorable
Sleepaway
mention.
Camp.
That's not my choice.
Sleepaway Camp has the best ending.
That's a great twist.
I don't
ending
want
at
it to
the
give
end.
the twist ending because I don't think Brian's ever seen Sleepaway
No,
Camp.
I
Have you?
haven't. I never
Watch
saw it.
Sleepaway Camp, man.
That's
You'd like
one
it.
that I think he would like. Yeah, but we should watch that
It
one
sounds
with
like
him.
something
Maybe.
I would like.
Maybe we
And,
should.
and you would like it for the reasons that you would think you would like it. Yes.
Should we do-
Girls
like
Sleepaway Camp.
boobage?
Should we do it down
You see,
here?
that's another very important component about horror flicks is all the gore and the violence and boobies.
Oh.
I wanna say-
back in the day.
I want to say we're gonna set up a viewing down here. I think we should do
The
it. down
Sleepaway
here.
Camp viewing. I would say we do a Burnt Offerings one too, but like I might be like watching it in the closet.
Still
over
scared?
there, like watching it through the crack.
That would be fun too. But I love that movie as much as it scares me. That movie, I love it. It's so good. I mean,
That was a good one. What horror movies did you grow up on?
Well, the one that always comes to mind is because I went to see it with my father, and it traumatized me horribly. was
Traumatized.
Poltergeist.
Oh, okay. That
Oh,
was
shit.
It's a
Yeah.
traumatizing
Yeah.
horror movie. I mean,
which will be coming up in our horror.
yeah, we're going to get to that.
we're getting
We
there
should,
this
probably
year.
shouldn't talk too much about it. We were 12 when that came out, so you're still at that age where.
Oh yeah,
And that's another PG movie that.
Yeah.
and
that
I'm
shouldn't
not a
be
horror guy, so I never really saw any horror.
Did you
until
go
I saw
into it
that.
not knowing it was horror as well, or did you know it was going to be a horror movie?
I don't think I even comprehended that a movie could scare you that much.
Well, a name like Poltergeist, you kind of figure. At
Did
least
you know
it's
what a
kinda
poltergeist
ghostly.
was?
No, I had
it's
no
like,
idea.
It's just
what
like
it
some
was.
weird
I
word.
learned. I
It's a
looked
German
it up
word.
afterwards, and then it scared me. And then I was convinced
You're like,
we had
why
a
didn't I look this up
poltergeist in our house.
before?
What a terrible marketing idea to name a movie something that people couldn't even pronounce that word in 1982. Poltergeist, like what's that? Like I don't want to see that. But that was a great movie.
What about
We'll get to that.
Poltergeist?
Portuguese?
Poultrygeist.
Poultry?
That's a trauma movie.
Is that
really?
chicken?
Poultry?
Is that chickens that terrorize people? Is it really that?
Oh, that's great.
Oh my god!
But so that was the first real horror movie that you ever watched then too, right?
Yeah. And then after that, I saw Nightmare. I think I only saw one Nightmare. Halloween. Halloween was definitely a big one for me.
Yeah.
That first Halloween movie is awesome.
It's terrific.
Yeah.
It
Then
is so good, man.
I think that's the only one I've seen.
And it's so simple. And the soundtrack, too. Just
That's
having like
what
one
kills it,
piano
yeah.
key. Yeah. Ding, ding.
They knew what they were doing. Yeah.
Yeah.
John
It's John Carpenter.
I'll tell you, one of the horror movie that I'm going to say it's recent, but now it's probably been like 20 years that really messed me up was
Like Psycho.
oh, that was a good movie, but The Ring. Like I remember being like
Oh,
really
yeah.
freaked out by The Ring.
Yep.
No, not you.
I thought it was. I fell asleep.
Oh, wow,
yeah, I was
man.
bored. That one and the other one, The Grudge. I
That's
thought that
right.
was
They
weak.
came out at
Grudge
the
is-
same
They were
time.
both.
Jason.
They were both. I thought.
The
I
Grudge
just thought it was
was- The Grudge
garbage.
I
was
liked
okay,
them, but
but-
they were remakes of
Japanese,
Japanese
yeah.
movies.
But I
they
thought
were
The
great.
Ring was that was like
Didn't do
a
it for me,
freaky
yeah.
kind of movie.
You?
The second that movie ended, and Christine and I watched it together, the second it ended, the phone rang. And it was my mom calling, but we were like,
You're like fuck you, mom.
neither one of us wanted
not
to
answering
answer.
that.
And of course, Christine has the balls in the relationship, so she answered it.
I remember when Michelle and I watched that movie. I don't even think the kids were born yet, or if Daniel was around, he was like an infant. But Michelle and I watched it. We were my boss at the time. His family had gone on vacation. We were watching his iguana lizard, some kind of lizard, and we just had it in our like living room
We killed it.
under this red heat lamp and stuff like that. So we watched The Ring. I am completely freaked out, and I'm like, I don't know whether I should just go right to bed or never go to sleep ever again. And we go up to bed, and Michelle's like, "Did you lock the front door?" I'm like, "Oh, I better go check." And I go into the hallway and look downstairs, and there's just this red glow all over the downstairs. I'm like, I don't give a fuck if that door is locked or not. I am not going down there. Oh man! And I remember when Blair Witch came out. We saw that in the theater.
Oh, I'm glad you mentioned that.
And we went with Michelle's brother and girlfriend at the time, and I don't think that's his wife now. I think it was a different girl and another couple. And the other couple had already seen it, and they were like, "This is the scariest movie ever." And I remember like going into that, like waiting, like I was so amped up, and then the movie ended, and I'm just like, when's it going to get scary?
I'm embarrassed of myself because I was scared shitless and I couldn't sleep at night because I believed the buildup,
like that it was real and stuff like that.
On the Sci-Fi Channel, you know, they were saying, "Oh, there's these lost cassette tapes that they found, you know, like buried." And they had it all, a whole buildup. And then when I watched it, I'm like, "Oh my God, is this stuff like real?"
They did a great marketing.
You know, and I'm a grown man and I'm fucking scared of this shit. I'm so gullible.
They did a great marketing.
That was marketing.
That was the first kind of like internet marketing. Like you could see like the fake, I guess like footage online and stuff like that. And they're like, this is part of the footage that they found. And you're like, what do you mean they
the
found
lost
it? Like,
footage.
what?
Yeah,
that was.
What was those movies that came out a little later?
Paranormal Activity.
Paranormal Activity.
I've never seen any of those.
I remember I went to the theater to see the first one with some friends, and it was a completely packed theater, every seat, and the jump scares were coming. You just knew they were coming. Yeah, but any movie, I never jump scare. I don't.
Oh, really?
That never gets me.
I'm a jumpy little bitch, man. I jumped a ghost like 3 times last night. Every time.
That's because that girl almost threw up on you.
Besides that, every time an explosion went off, I was like,
"Oh, well, that's true." Yeah, that's a big explosion.
Hey, at least you stayed awake.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, unlike Slayer. No, yeah, I was. Listen, I was like 5 beers in. I was as sober as I get to a show. That's sober for Andy at a concert. 5 beers.
Not me. I had a good buzz going in.
I was buzzing. Yeah, but that's like
because that was your last concert before that, right? Or no, you went to concert since
Duran
Slayer,
Duran.
Right?
Yeah, I went to Green Day and
they don't count though.
Well, Weezer was there. They count.
All right, I'll count it.
But Blair Witch. I just wanted to bring this up real quick. So we saw that movie in the theater. I remember like leaving the theater and I go to Michelle. I'm like, I wasn't scared at all. I'm like, I didn't care. Like,
and you turned to Michelle. She was white as a ghost.
Well, I was so disappointed with that.
Terrified.
Michelle's afraid of nothing. Like we see horror movies. She's like, I can't believe you're scared. Like, what's wrong with you? I'm like, but did you see the thing? And then they were trying to scare you. And so anyway, we get home. The house we lived in at the time, we had a split level. I had to go down to the bottom to let our dog out the back door. And if you saw Blair Witch, you know how that ended. And I like go down. I'm letting the dog out. I'm just like
the dog was standing in a corner.
I'm like, I'm like, son of a bitch. I'm like, if I turn around and someone's standing in the corner, I'm gonna be so angry. So I like kind of like very gingerly looked around. I'm like, okay, I'm good. I'm good.
But it so great if Michelle was standing there.
Well, it was just that I said how much I wasn't affected by that movie, and then. Obviously, I was affected by it. Yeah, I was like, after the fact.
That's exactly how it hit me. Like I was unaffected till the last 5 minutes, and then walking out to the car afterwards, I was
looking over your shoulder.
I was thinking about it more, and I was just like, okay, that movie did.
As much as I really actually do like the Blair Witch Project, that last part when they're in the house racing and it's all, I was like, that was actually really good. That was what they should have done an hour earlier into the movie. Like,
well, after finding out that it was all just fake bullshit, which I should have realized up front at first. By the time like Paranormal Activity came out, I was so pissed off at the whole thing. Like, fuck yous all. I'm not falling for it
but
again.
I think that's a great. The Blair Witch Project just hit it at the right time.
It did.
The first
it was harder to
nobody expecting it. Yeah,
and it was low budget, and they played it out perfect.
There was probably no Wikipedia page you could go to and just be like,
no,
is
they
this real?
started there because I was working in Denver at the time, and so at night they made their own web page chronicling everything, and it looked like legit.
Yeah,
like a timeline of everything and stuff like that.
Yeah, they did their marketing for that because it was all the beginning of everybody having the internet.
Yep.
Yeah.
They did an incredible job with their pre-marketing.
I'm still pissed at them. I feel violated.
The only other time I remember actually being like horrified in a movie, I mean, I've seen hundreds of horror movies and a lot in the theater.
Name them.
Well, the one that I remember actually like
it's like a therapy session.
Being in the theater and being like, oh my God, and it's the craziest thing because it's not a good movie and I don't recommend seeing it, but Exorcist 3 with George C. Scott, and Bruce and I went and saw that in the theater, and it's a nothing movie, but there's a jump scare in that is like, I've watched this on YouTube many times afterwards. I'm like, is that really all that scary? But I remember in the theater just being like,
it worked.
Grabbing Bruce, being like, God damn it! I've made the kids watch it, and they're like, yeah, that's not that scary. Like you don't understand. Like it's all a setup, and the whole setup is like, there's it's the hallway shot. It's a long shot down a hallway, and a nurse is like going in and out of every room, like crisscrossing back and forth against the hallway, like checking the rooms out and stuff like that. And the last room she goes into, and then she just comes walking out, and of course, like some monster comes, like
bearing down on her.
Some possessed thing comes out after her, and I remember. But it's that setup because there's no music. It's just the sound of a hospital at night, so it's only her feet, her
Hospitals
steps,
at
like
night and they're real dark, or it's just so scary.
Yeah, so it's just her steps going back. That's the only sound, the steps you hear of her going back and forth room to room, and I remember that just hit me like really hard. And so when I, told the kids about that. They're like, oh, we got to see this. And then we watched it on YouTube, just that scene. And they're like really? Oh, like, okay, never mind. Dad's a pussy. Yeah. They knew that. They knew that already.
I set it up for you guys. That's why you guys aren't scared.
I spoiled it for you. Sorry.
I always say the biggest jump scare for me was the frog in Jaws 3D. That
Dude,
was
I can't
that really got me. I love that movie, by the way.
Jaws 3D?
Jaws 3D?
Yes.
Oh, that had that blonde-haired girl in there.
That had Bess Armstrong.
Yeah,
but Dennis Quaid.
You love it because of the campiness,
Bess Armstrong.
right?
What was her claim to fame? They kept pushing her like she was something special.
She was also in that.
Was in it.
She was in High Road to China with Tom Selleck.
Okay, big deal.
Did you ever see that though? That was like an Indiana Jones ripoff. Yeah, but I could.
Bess Armstrong is in Jaws 3D. I'm like, who gives a fuck?
It's crazy that I know her name because she doesn't deserve to be like 40 years later. Like, oh my God, it's Bess Armstrong.
Stop saying that. It's 3 times you said it now.
Is she going to appear now? I've said it 3
That had a great cast though. Lou Gossett Jr.
Was he in that third one too?
Yeah,
oh man,
Dennis Quaid, Leah Thompson.
Leah Thompson was in that too.
Bess Armstrong.
That's the one that's at like the SeaWorld.
If anybody says that name one more time, man, I'll end this podcast right now. I will. This has been the
do it.
But no, change the horror movies. Let's go to a different one. What do you got? What would you say a horror movie that you were excited for and then you watched and it fell flat?
Hey, I have mine.
Anything like that?
We never did Brian's.
Yeah.
Wait, I thought we did.
Come on.
We just stumped all over.
Let's all do me. I'm open, man.
I apologize, Brian. Please
do me hard,
Mac. What is your recommendation?
It is Tourist Trap. Did you ever see Tourist Trap?
I've heard of that.
Know if I have.
I don't know that one at all.
I was a little kid when I saw it, and I didn't realize what I was watching.
So it's older.
Yeah, it's 1979.
Okay.
It came out. I looked it up before the podcast, so I would have some of my shit straight. For
Nice.
this,
No, I don't think I noticed then. I was thinking it might have been a newer movie, but no.
But it's so creepy, and now I know why I'm so scared of mannequins and stuff, because it's like the serial killer.
Horrible movie, by the way, Mannequin.
Oh, yeah, nothing to...
not a horror movie either.
Yeah. But it's a serial killer, and he gets people to come to his house, or I kind of forget, all the details and stuff. But he kills them and then makes them like into mannequins, and the mannequins come to life and stuff.
As they are wont to do.
Yeah, I think it's because he has telekinetic powers or some shit like that.
Did you say no stars that we would know today? Or
yeah, I don't think there was any stars. I don't remember. It was one of those obscure films, but it's a classic. You should really watch it, because I watched it recently with another friend of mine who's a big horror buff and stuff. And I sat there and I'm like, holy shit, I know this movie. I'm like, this movie scared the living shit out of me when I was a kid. I think it was one of those movies that was on Chiller Theater.
Yeah.
And
you're so young at the time.
Chuck Connors is in it.
Oh, yeah, that's right. He's the bad guy. Chuck Connors. That's right.
Chuck Connors.
And it has a supernatural twist to it.
Yes.
Well, if he has telekinesis.
Yeah, because
Tanya Roberts is in it.
Oh, yeah,
Tanya
that's right.
Roberts.
Yeah, she's young.
I was going to say she was a child.
Yeah.
Linnea Quigley's in it. Why do I know her?
Because Tanya Roberts will be naked in Beastmaster just a couple of years later, right?
Yes.
Return of the Living Dead, LinneaQuigley. Yeah, she's been in it.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Oh, is that the one that dances naked on the grave?
Probably.
Oh, I haven't seen that movie.
Return of the Living Dead?
No.
You never saw Return of the Living Dead?
Nudity in it?
Oh, the best nudity.
We should
She's
do all the
fucking
dead
hot.
movies with you.
And she has leg warmers on.
We
I
really
think
need
she's
to
like
have
all
like
naked except leg warmers.
A lot of movies.
We got to
view
take Brian
down there.
to horror movie school.
Yeah, remember, I just watched the basics.
I'm gonna be afraid of all these movies, and all of a sudden, I'm gonna be like, Brian peed on my pants because it was actually me peeing my pants. I'm sorry. So you were saying before about movies that you were excited for that didn't live up to it?
Yeah, something like that. Anything that
I don't know, man. Like I used to be the kind of guy that was so excited about like a Friday the 13th movies, and some of those movies were.
Well, yeah. Now that you bring that
after
up,
a while,
shitty.
you knew that. It
But
was
there were some
becoming
good
garbage.
ones peppered in. So like when you were like, oh, cool, like Friday the 13th Part 5. Well, Part 4 was awesome, and then you go see it and be like,
I
Yeah.
didn't even like Friday the 13th, the original one.
Oh,
Yeah.
I love.
Like I saw Halloween.
I love
first,
those first 5,
and
I
then
would
Friday
say.
the 13th. I used to yell at the screen. You know, when they would show the person like, "Is that you out there? Who's out there?" You know, and you could see behind them. But then the next shot is the camera's supposed to be Jason, like bearing down, like breathing on his neck. But
how
then
dare you try to bring logic into these?
yeah, but nobody's there. I'm like there's nobody there. Just piss me off. Yeah.
Just stop going to that place.
Well, it doesn't make sense why Mike Myers is still alive too. So,
Well, true. Yeah.
come on.
It's like that commercial where the fork get people run into the shed full of
oh, that is
chainsaws.
a all-time great commercial.
And the guy rolling his eyes.
Yeah. Can we just get in
Friday
the
the
running
13th
car?
Friday the 13th, though, it wasn't really Jason, right?
The first
it was the
one wasn't.
mom.
It was the mom in the first one.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but see, that was a good twist on it. But then
Yeah.
they just made it Jason, and it kind of, I was like, I was out. I checked out.
There were some,
But I liked
great
Halloween
ones.
3 because it had nothing to do with the other one, Season of the Witch.
That's
with the
Well, then
masks.
we'll have to have you back
Yeah.
on in a couple
that's-
weeks
that's
for our
what we-
yeah,
Halloween
Season of the Witch.
Yeah.
We're doing that one.
That's,
Okay,
that's
I
a
like that
1982
one.
movie, so we'll get to that
Yeah.
eventually. Yeah.
Yeah, we're actually in a few weeks.
Yeah.
You play
I
the
haven't seen
music
that
and
one.
the snakes come out of your head and shit. Yeah, I remember that.
Don't spoil it for people that haven't seen it.
Brian
There are people that watch the movie.
Brian
Brian,
hasn't
please
seen it.
censor that.
There are people that watch the movies to just listen to us give our nonsense.
I don't know if
think there are.
anybody's.
No one does that.
I think I told Dana to watch Last American Virgin before she listens to
Okay.
that one. But other than that, I don't think anybody's listened or watched the movie on purpose
I don't know.
before
I have to
listening.
ask my friend
yeah.
Dave. He yelled at me for calling him David too.
Oh, why? Is he not David?
He likes to call
he's a Dave.
but I call him Dave.
Well, we're calling him David from now on. You know that. Hey, David, this
Well,
one's for
Michelle
you.
was wondering why Jason was calling Anthony Tony. He was like, "Oh, Tony couldn't make Tony," and she's like, "Who's Tony?"
That's what I'm like. I'm like, what are you talking about, Jason? Oh, okay.
Jason calls him
Cakes.
Tony. Yeah,
I call him
Cakes.
Tony. What do you call him? You call him Anthony, right?
Anthony,
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's Anthony.
So you guys call him Cake.
Well,
That's how I got
different.
introduced to
That's
him.
our love name for him.
Yeah. But he'll always be a Tony to me. I don't think he.
Where is he?
He's
Visiting
he's
his brother.
only in New Jersey for a couple days, so he had to like hang out with his family.
Oh, okay.
And I yelled at him and I said, "Listen, this podcast is much more important than your family." But
Yeah. This is family.
He could have.
I'm like, you'll have much more fun here. You're gonna probably
He
yell at
could've-
your father, and you will yell at each other. Your brother and you will probably punch.
He could have
each
brought his
other.
brother here to talk about
Chris
Creep
is
Show.
Chris is he's probably fun. I only say probably because I only really know him as a child.
Yeah.
And now 40 years later, he's an adult and he's got kids and stuff like that. And I'd be like, really?
We're all the
Chris,
same.
little Chris? I've talked to him a couple times, like when I'm at Anthony's house when he's in town, and I still look at him like, yeah, I'm sorry, you're 8. I can't take you seriously. You've had sex with a woman and have children? Really? I think that's a crime.
Yeah, you have facial hair.
It applies to all of us. We all like
Anthony,
grow older, but
let
we
your
didn't
brother
grow
listen.
up.
Anthony, let your brother listen to that part of the podcast. Never any.
Well, Brian, do a little cut that part out, and we'll send that over to Tony. We'll send it over to Tony.
Did you see how long he was struggling with the equalizers today, man? That'll take him a year and a half.
That is true, but I don't want to turn this one into a maxi, so let's end this mini right now.
Mac.
We have been the exciting and new mini podcast doing a Halloween spectacular. We can be found on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, Spreaker, anywhere you get your podcasts.
Pornhub?
The Jazoo on Instagram, Jazoo74 on Twitter. I'm Jason.
I'm Bess Armstrong.
And I'm Brian.
I'm ending this podcast
And
right
he's
now.
back.
Honors.